When people begin learning English, they often think grammar or vocabulary is the most important thing. But in real life, the first bridge to communication is greetings. Greetings are not just words, they are social signals. They show politeness, openness, and confidence. When you greet someone correctly, you immediately reduce fear and create connection, even if your English level is still very basic.
That's absolutely true. In fact, many beginners already know more English than they realize. They know hello, thank you, or how are you, but they hesitate to use them. This hesitation doesn't come from lack of knowledge, it comes from fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of sounding wrong, fear of being judged. Today, we're going to remove that fear by focusing on simple, essential phrases that work in real life.
Let's start with the most basic interaction, greeting someone for the first time. In everyday English, you don't need complicated sentences. A simple hello or hi is enough. If you want to sound slightly more polite or friendly, you can say, "Hello, nice to meet you." This sentence is powerful because it works in almost every situation, whether at work, at school, or when meeting someone new.
And what's important to understand is tone. English is not only about words, it's about how you say them. When you say, "nice to meet you," say it calmly, clearly, and with a relaxed voice. Native speakers don't rush greetings. They give space for the other person to respond. This rhythm helps the conversation feel natural, even if the language is simple.
Now, after greeting, the most common question in daily English is, "How are you?" Beginners often misunderstand this. They think it's a serious question that needs a long answer. But in most daily situations, it's a polite exchange. You can respond with, "I'm fine, thank you," or "I'm good, thanks." Both are perfectly natural and widely used.
Exactly. And you can also add a small return question to keep the conversation alive. For example, "I'm good, thank you. And you?" This simple pattern creates balance. It shows that you are participating, not just answering. This is a key habit in English conversation, showing interest even with very simple language.
Let's slow this down and look at why beginners struggle here. Many learners translate directly from their native language and worry about being perfect. But native speakers value clarity, not perfection. If you say, "I'm fine," with confidence, that's already successful communication. The goal is not to sound advanced. The goal is to be understood and comfortable.
Another important daily phrase is saying goodbye. Just like greetings, goodbyes don't need to be complicated. Goodbye, bye, or see you later are all very natural. See you later doesn't always mean you will meet again soon. It's just a friendly way to end a conversation. Understanding this helps beginners feel more relaxed using it.
And if you want to sound warm and polite, you can say, "It was nice talking to you," or "Have a nice day." These phrases are extremely common in English-speaking environments. They don't require advanced grammar, but they create a positive impression and show good communication skills.
Let's talk about greetings in different times of the day because this is something beginners often ask about. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening are all polite and safe choices. You don't need to worry too much about exact timing. If you're unsure, hello always works. Native speakers use hello in almost every situation.
That's a very important point. Beginners often feel pressure to choose the perfect phrase, but English is flexible. If you walk into a shop and say hello, that's completely natural. If you say good morning, that's also fine. Communication is about connection, not strict rules.
Now let's move into short daily interactions. Imagine you enter a store. A staff member says, "Hello." You can respond with "hello" or "hi." If they ask, "How can I help you?" you don't need a long sentence. You can say, "I'm looking for," or "I need." These simple structures are essential for daily life.
Yes, and this is where beginners gain confidence quickly. When you realize that most daily interactions follow predictable patterns, English becomes less scary. Greetings, small polite phrases, and simple responses cover a large percentage of real conversations. You don't need advanced English to function well.
Let's also talk about politeness markers because they are part of essential conversations. Words like please, thank you, and sorry are extremely important. Even if your sentence is not perfect, using these words immediately makes your English sound polite and respectful.
For example, if you say, "Can you help me?" it's okay. But if you say, "Can you help me, please?" It sounds much more natural and kind. If someone helps you, saying thank you or thank you very much is enough. You don't need long explanations.
Apologizing is also part of daily English. If you make a small mistake, bump into someone, or don't understand, you can say sorry or sorry, I don't understand. This sentence is incredibly useful for beginners. It shows honesty and keeps the conversation smooth.
I want to emphasize something important here. Beginners often think they should stay silent until their English is perfect. This is a mistake. Silence slows learning. Using simple greetings and phrases every day trains your brain to accept English as normal. The more normal it feels, the faster fluency develops.
That's why we focus on essential conversations first. These are the building blocks. Just like learning to walk before running, you learn greetings and basic phrases before complex discussions. Mastering these basics creates confidence, and confidence opens the door to real communication.
Before we close this chapter, let's reflect. If you can greet someone, ask how they are, respond politely, say thank you, and say goodbye, you already have the core of daily English. This is not small progress. This is a strong foundation that many learners underestimate.
Exactly. And once this foundation is stable, everything else becomes easier. Vocabulary grows faster, listening improves, and speaking feels more natural. But it all starts here with essential conversations and simple human interaction.
In the next chapter, we'll expand these greetings into short, natural conversations you can use at work, in shops, and in social situations. For now, focus on using these phrases out loud. Speak them. Hear your own voice. That's how English becomes real.
Keep going. You're building something important, not just English, but confidence. And confidence changes everything.
In the first chapter, we focused on greetings and polite phrases because they are the doorway into English communication. Now, in this chapter, we move one step further. We are not jumping into long conversations yet. Instead, we are learning how short daily conversations actually work in real life. These are the kinds of exchanges that happen in shops, at work, at school, or with neighbors. They are short, predictable, and surprisingly simple when you understand their structure.
And this is where many beginners suddenly realize something important. Real English conversations are not long speeches. They are small pieces connected together. One person speaks, the other responds, and the conversation moves forward naturally. When learners stop trying to sound perfect and start responding simply, English begins to feel manageable instead of overwhelming.
Let's start with one of the most common situations. Someone asks you a simple question. For example, how's your day going? Many beginners freeze here because they think they need a detailed answer. But in daily English, a short response is completely normal. You can say, it's good, thank you, or it's okay, a bit busy, or pretty good so far. These responses sound natural and invite the other person to continue if they want.
Exactly. And notice something important. These answers are not grammatically complex. They are short, clear, and flexible. Native speakers use them because they are efficient. Conversation is not an exam. It's a shared moment. If your answer fits the moment, it works. That mindset alone removes a huge amount of pressure for beginners.
Now let's imagine a very common daily interaction. You walk into a small shop. The cashier says, hi. You say, hi. Then they ask, can I help you? You don't need a full sentence like in textbooks. You can simply say, yes, I'm looking for this, or no, just looking, thank you. Both answers are completely natural and widely used.
This is an important lesson. English textbooks often teach long, formal sentences, but real conversations are shorter and softer. When someone asks, can I help you? Saying, just looking, thanks, is enough. It shows politeness and confidence. Beginners often feel surprised when they realize how simple real English actually is.
Let's talk about another daily situation. Talking to coworkers or classmates. Someone might say, busy today? This is not a serious question. It's friendly small talk. You can answer, yes, very busy, or a little busy, or even not too bad. These answers are short, but they keep the social connection alive.
And you can add one small sentence to extend the conversation if you feel comfortable. For example, yes, very busy today. We have many tasks. Or not too bad. It's a quiet day. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need to communicate the idea. That's real fluency.
Beginners often think they must prepare long sentences before speaking, but daily English works differently. It's reactive. Someone speaks, you respond. That's why listening is just as important as speaking. When you listen carefully, your response becomes easier because the pattern is already there.
Let's slow down and look at another essential daily exchange, asking for help. This happens everywhere. You can say, "Excuse me," to get attention, then say, "Can you help me?" or "Can you help me with this?" These sentences are polite, clear, and very common. You don't need to explain everything at once.
And if you don't understand something, saying, "Sorry, I don't understand," is perfectly okay. Many beginners feel embarrassed to say this, but native speakers respect honesty. Communication is about clarity, not pretending. Asking for clarification actually shows confidence and maturity.
Another very common daily interaction is giving short answers to simple questions. For example, someone asks, "Are you ready?" You can say, "Yes," "Not yet," or "Almost." These answers are complete. They don't need extra words unless you want to add them.
This is where beginners often overthink. They think every answer must be a full sentence, but English allows short answers all the time. If someone asks, "Do you work here?" you can say, "Yes, I do," or simply, "Yes." Both are correct in real conversation.
Let's talk about conversations at work, because this is a big source of anxiety for learners. At work, conversations are usually task-focused and short. Someone might say, "Can you send the file?" You can answer, "Sure," or "Okay, I'll send it now." That's enough. You don't need to explain more unless necessary.
And if you cannot do something immediately, you can say, "I'll do it later," or "I'll check and let you know." These phrases are extremely useful and very natural. They show responsibility without over-explaining.
Now let's look at social interactions, like meeting neighbors or acquaintances. Someone might say, "Nice weather today." This is small talk. You can respond with, "Yes, it's nice," or "Yes, very warm today." This exchange is not about information, it's about connection.
Exactly. Small talk is emotional, not informational. Beginners often think they must say something interesting, but small talk is about sharing the moment. Even repeating the idea is normal. That's why, "Yes, it's nice" works perfectly.
Let's also address what happens when you don't know what to say next. This is very common. Silence does not mean failure. You can smile, nod, or say something simple like "yeah" or "I see." These responses show that you are engaged, even if you don't continue speaking.
That's an important point. Communication is not only speaking. Listening and responding appropriately is also fluency. Many beginners are already good listeners. They just don't realize it yet.
Another daily situation is ending a short conversation politely. You can say, "I have to go now," or "Nice talking to you," or "See you later." These phrases signal closure. Native speakers use them all the time to end conversations smoothly.
And notice how gentle these phrases are. English often avoids abrupt endings. Saying, "I have to go now" is polite and clear. You don't need to explain why unless you want to.
Now let's reflect on something important. All the conversations we discussed in this chapter use simple language, but they feel real. That's because they follow natural patterns: question, response, small expansion, polite closing. Once you recognize this pattern, English conversations become predictable instead of stressful.
And predictability is your friend as a beginner. It means you can prepare mentally without memorizing scripts. You understand the flow, not just the words. This is how native speakers communicate, and this is how learners should train their ears and voices.
Before we close this chapter, let's remind you of something essential. You do not need to speak a lot to communicate well. Short, clear, confident responses are enough. Fluency grows from consistency, not from complexity.
In the next chapter, we will take these short daily conversations and connect them into slightly longer exchanges, helping you move from survival English into comfortable, everyday English. For now, practice responding out loud to simple questions. That is real progress.
You're doing better than you think. Keep speaking, keep listening, and trust the process.
Now that we've explored greetings and short daily exchanges, this chapter is about transformation. This is where beginners start to feel something shift inside them. You already know many English words. You already understand simple questions. The difference now is learning how to connect those small pieces into real conversations that feel alive. Not perfect conversations, not impressive conversations, but real ones. The kind people actually have every day without thinking.
This is an important moment in your learning journey because many learners stay stuck at the sentence level for years. They can answer questions, but they struggle to continue. What we want to show you here is that continuing a conversation does not require advanced grammar. It requires awareness, listening, and one simple idea. Respond, then gently add something. That's it. That is how conversations grow naturally.
Let's take a very simple example. Someone asks you, "How was your day?" In earlier chapters, we practiced short answers like good or busy. Now we take one small step further. You can say, "It was busy but productive," or "It was good, I finished my work early." Notice how nothing here is complex. We are simply adding one extra idea. That extra idea is what turns an answer into a conversation.
And when you add that small detail, you give the other person something to respond to. That's how conversation becomes shared. For example, if you say, "It was busy but productive," the other person might say, "That's good," or "What were you working on?" Now the conversation is moving forward without pressure.
This idea applies everywhere. Imagine someone asks, "Where are you from?" You might already answer with the name of a place. To extend it, you can add, "I grew up there," or "It's a small city," or "It's a quiet place." You're not giving a speech, you're simply opening a door.
Many beginners think native speakers are good at conversation because they know many words. In reality, native speakers are good because they respond naturally and add small pieces. They don't plan their sentences in advance, they react. That's what we want you to practice.
Now let's look at a common situation, talking about plans. Someone asks, "What are you doing later?" You can answer, "I'm going home," and then add, "I need to rest," or "I have some things to finish." That second sentence is optional but powerful. It shows personality and invites connection.
And if you don't have plans, that's fine too. You can say, "Nothing special," and then add, "Just relaxing," or "Just staying at home." This sounds completely natural. Real conversations are full of ordinary moments.
Let's talk about conversations at work or school, because this is where many learners feel nervous. Someone might say, "Are you busy?" You can say, "A little," and then add, "I have a few tasks," or "But it's manageable." This shows confidence and clarity without over-explaining.
Notice how these extensions are not random. They relate directly to what was said. This is key. Good conversation is not about saying something interesting. It's about responding appropriately. When you stay close to the topic, conversation feels easy.
Another common daily interaction is giving opinions. Beginners often avoid this because they think opinions require advanced English, but opinions can be simple. If someone says, "Do you like this place?" you can say, "Yes, it's nice," and then add, "It's calm," or "It's comfortable." That's already an opinion.
You don't need to explain why in detail. Native speakers often don't. Short opinions are normal. Saying, "I like it, it's simple and quiet," is enough to sound natural and confident.
Now let's talk about listening, because speaking does not exist alone. When someone talks to you, listen for key words, not every word. You don't need to understand everything. If you understand the main idea, you can respond. Conversation is forgiving. People repeat, rephrase, and adjust naturally.
This is why responding with phrases like "I see," or "That makes sense," or "Oh, really?" is so useful. These responses show engagement. They give you time to think, and they are extremely common in natural English.
Another important skill in real conversation is showing interest. You don't need complex questions. Simple follow-up questions are enough. If someone says, "I'm tired," you can ask, "Long day?" If they say, "I'm learning English," you can ask, "How is it going?" These questions feel natural because they follow the moment.
And this is where confidence grows. You realize that conversation is not about you performing, it's about sharing attention. When you show interest, the focus shifts away from your English level and toward the connection.
Let's talk about mistakes. You will make them. Everyone does. When you make a mistake, keep going. Most people care more about understanding than correctness. If you stop every time you make an error, conversation breaks. If you continue, communication stays alive.
Many advanced speakers still make small mistakes. What matters is flow. If you say something slightly wrong but understandable, that's success. Fluency is movement, not perfection.
Now, let's imagine a slightly longer conversation using everything we've learned. Someone says, "Hi, how are you?" You respond, "I'm good, thanks, just a bit busy today." They say, "Oh, really?" You say, "Yes, work has been busy, but it's going well." This is already a real conversation.
Notice how each response is short but connected. That's the secret. You are not memorizing lines, you are following the flow.
As you practice this, your brain will start to recognize patterns. You will stop translating word by word. Instead, you will feel the rhythm of English. That's when speaking becomes easier and more natural.
This chapter is important because it shows you that conversation is not a mountain. It's a series of small steps, and you are already taking them.
Before we close, let's reflect. You can greet people politely, you can respond to simple questions, you can add small details, you can ask simple follow-up questions. That means you are already participating in real English conversations.
And participation is everything. You don't need to speak perfectly, you just need to stay present. The more you do this, the more natural English will feel.
In the next chapter, we will move into longer everyday conversations, talking about routines, experiences, and feelings in a relaxed, natural way. But for now, focus on connection, not complexity.
You're building something real here, not tricks, not motivation, a foundation.
And foundations, once set, support everything that comes after. Before we end today's episode, I want to speak to you directly, not as a teacher, but as someone who has watched thousands of learners struggle silently. If you're listening right now and thinking, "I understand English, but speaking still feels scary," I want you to know that this feeling is normal. It doesn't mean you're slow. It means your brain is still learning how to trust itself in real situations.
And that trust doesn't come from studying harder. It comes from allowing yourself to speak imperfectly again and again. Every real conversation you attempt, even the awkward ones, is training your brain. You're not failing when you hesitate. You're practicing. And practice is exactly how fluency is built.
English is not a test you pass one day. It's a relationship you grow into. Some days feel easy, some days feel frustrating. Both days count. If today's episode helped you feel a little calmer, a little clearer, then you're moving in the right direction.
And remember, you're not learning alone. Thousands of learners are listening to this episode with the same goal, to speak naturally, confidently, and without fear. You're part of that community, even if you're listening quietly.
Here's a simple challenge for you today. After this episode ends, choose one sentence you heard, just one, and say it out loud 3 times. Don't rush, don't worry about accent. Just let your voice exist in English.
Then, if you can, use that sentence today in real life. Say it to a friend, a colleague, or even to yourself. That small action matters more than watching 10 videos silently.
If this episode helped you, take a moment to like it, share it, or leave a comment. Tell us where you're listening from and what part of English feels hardest for you right now. We read those messages and they help shape future episodes.
Thank you for spending this time with us, for trusting the process, and for choosing to show up for your English every day, even when it feels uncomfortable.
Keep listening, keep speaking, and we'll be right here with you in the next episode.